Hey, everybody. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor. And one of these days, I'll get this StreamYard capability. I'll get used to it. But I'm here. I'm staying at some family's house in Colorado. And I have been hit up by so many of you to talk about this Yay Fisher update that I thought, since I had some time tonight, actually, I got some time with my family and everyone went to sleep and I wasn't tired. I thought, you know what? Let's rant about this a little bit because look, I know so many of us are over this issue, but it bugs me for a lot of various reasons, and I'll get to it. But let's get to this latest update. I see so many in your stream. We're doing this live just because it's easier for me to do when I'm on remote locations. So thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys want to get involved in the conversation, I can include you this time. What? So donate as you can, support as you will. Good to see so many of you. Yes, that is true. I am in South Park. Good to see you, James, everybody else. But let's get to this issue at hand. I'll clip this later. The rest of it will be just special for you guys. But I want to get to this Ray Fisher update because it seems anytime Ray Fisher says something, people want to loop me in and say, Andy, what do you think? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? So let's hear my thoughts. And then I may invite some of you guys to chime in and we'll hang out. Let's see how it goes. All right. But let's get to this issue because, all right, let's read the article from Deadline. The thieves at Deadline, as I call them, because they always like to steal things. But let's see how Deadline covers this. Okay. And the tweet in question is there. But guys, send over your thoughts. Yeah, look, and I hear you, Casey. I hear you. But let's just see this, okay? Let's just see how this goes. All right. So Justice League Ray Fisher will not let down his bullhorn in ire against Warner Brothers, in particular DC film president Walter Hamada. Cyborg actor who had Warner Media dive into the investigation about the alleged misconduct of Joss Whedon during the reshoots of Justice League tweets today. Walter Hamada is the most dangerous kind of enabler. He lies, and WB's failed September 4th hit piece sought to undermine the very real issues of the Justice League investigation. I will not participate in any production associated with him. Accountability is greater than entertainment. On the evening of December 11th, Warner Media released a vague, glib statement that their investigation connected to Justice League has been concluded and remedial action has been taken. No other details were provided, but even Warner Brothers motion picture executives at the time were unaware of the decision was coming down. We'll get to why. In regards to films that Fisher is involved with, as far as DC goes, this actor reprised his cyborg role in extra shots of Zack Snyder's Justice League 10-episode cut. It's a 10 episode now? Wait, what? That's 4 episodes. I thought he's always been up. When did it jump to 10? Deadline. They suck. Which is hitting HBO Max next year. The actor also participating in DC fandom panel for the feature recut. Fisher, per Warner Brothers, was in talks to return as Cyborg. Clearly not anymore. In the upcoming DC feature film, The Flash. Sounds like that's not happening now. No, I think it's safe. I think it's safe to assume that's not happening now. Fisher's firestorm against Warner Media begun on July 1st when he tweeted Joss Whedon's on-set treatment. We heard all this, yada, 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 was unprofessional, completely unacceptable. Again, nothing. This was the thing that really set everyone off, and he never gave details. And now, how long has this been? Since July? Still no details. But now he's not only canceled Joss Whedon, Jeff Johns, John Berg. Now it's Walter Hamada. He's just added to the mix, who was never part of the problem, but now he is, It's important to note here during Fisher's tirade against the studio that Hamada was not in charge of DC feature productions, nor did he have any oversee on Justice League when Fisher and Whedon were working together. Hamada was an executive at New Line during that time. We're going to get to that because I'm glad Deadline at least gave you guys the information because that's so important. On the evening of the Friday of Labor Day weekend, Warner Media dropped a lengthy statement, which is not typical for the studio to do in crisis situations, firing back at Fisher, saying, and again, Warner Media did this. Notice. In July, Ray Fisher's representatives asked DC Films Walter Hamada to talk to Mr. Fisher about his concerns during the production. The two had previously spoken. Mr. Hamada asked him to reprise his role as Cyborg in Warner Brothers' film. In their July conversation, Mr. Fisher recounted disagreements he'd had with the film's creative team regarding his portrayal of Cyborg and complained that it suggested script revisions were not adapted. Mr. Hamada explained that creative differences are a normal part of the production process and that a film's writer-director ultimately has to be in charge of these matters. Notably, Mr. Hamada also told Fisher that he would elevate his concerns to Warner Media so they can conduct investigation. At no time did Mr. Hamada ever throw anyone under the bus, as Mr. Fisher has falsely claimed, or render any new judgments about the Justice League production in which Mr. Hamada had no involvement. Since filming occurred before, Mr. Hamada was elevated to his current position. While Mr. Fisher never alleged any actionable misconduct against him, Warner Media nonetheless initiated an investigation into the Warner Media notice, initiated an investigation into the concerns he'd raised about his character's portrayal. Still not satisfied, Mr. Fisher insists that Warner Media hire an independent third-party investigator. This investigator has attempted multiple times to meet with Fisher to discuss his concerns, but to date, Mr. Fisher has declined to speak to the investigator. Warner Brothers remains committed to accountability and to well-being for every cast and crew member of each of its productions. It also remains committed to investigating any specific and credible allegation of misconduct. Notice the word they used, credible, which thus far Mr. Fisher has failed to provide. In subsequent Forbes article that, let's not forget, had to be massively edited, and the writer got fired. Fisher indicated that racial issues played part in the decisions that led to his claimed mistreatment. Justice League stars Aquaman Jason Momoa sided with Fisher's crusade on social media. Never got specific, mind you. And the actor called for an investigation. Wonder Woman star Gal Gadot told the LA Times that she didn't shoot with Fisher, but I had my own experience with Whedon, which wasn't the best one, but I took care of it there when it happened. I took it to the higher ups and they took care of it, but I'm happy for Ray to go up and say his truth. Warner Media did not have a new statement in response to Fisher's new statement today against Hamada. Here is the question. Here's the tweet is the most dangerous kind of enabler. His lies and Warner Brothers PR's failed September 4th hit piece sought to undermine the very real issues of the Justice League investigation. I will not participate in any production associated with him. Accountability, entertainment. Now, let me just say this before we get to it. I saw some chats. Ray, let me actually make sure I'm on my close-up here. Ray, do you promise? Do you promise that? Can you please promise? Do you promise you're done with DC films? Because I have a sneaking suspicion they're done with you. They want nothing to do with you. They did the Warner Media investigation. They've done it now multiple times. They went through the hoops you made them go through, so your witnesses spoke. Nothing happened, guys. Nothing happened. Remedial action. Anybody who stepped up, nothing happened. So clearly, the investigation by the third-party investigator that he was very vocal in supporting came back with evidence that now they're like, okay, we're good. Now let's all move forward. And Ray refuses to move forward. Like, this is insane. Everything I've been saying is accurate. And what's so frustrating, the reason I'm still covering this story is because his angry mob, they're still out there for blood. For what? What happened? We still don't know what happened. And I've engaged with a few trolls online just to sort of try and figure out, is there something I'm missing? Like, what am I missing out of this that I'm like, that I should be more enraged like everyone else in the Snyder army? And they're like, well, Jason Momoa and Gal Gadot, they've admitted that there were problems with set. What problems? First of all, let's go back to this because I think this is so instrumental. Gal Gadot said she had her own problems with Whedon. And what did she do? She took care of it then and there when it happened. I took it to the higher ups and they took care of it. She did it like an adult does. She did it like a grown up, like a professional that Gal Gadot is. She took care of it in the moment when something bad happened. She handled it and they took care of it. And she's not out there complaining anymore. Why? Because she clearly got it addressed and moved on. Now, she chose probably not to. I'm going to assume she doesn't like Joss Whedon. I'm going to assume she's not going to work with him again. And that's her right as an actor. But she's not out there trashing him every chance she gets because she took care of it in the moment like adults do. Jason Momoa, Jason Momoa, I like Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa is clearly like that surfer guy who just agrees with your friend, just does whatever, I'm cool, whatever, dude. And clearly, I'm sure there were problems on that set. The biggest problems I've heard on that set time and time again is the fact that they were trash talking Zach. Now, look, I don't think that's cool. They were trash talking Zach. They were saying his cut sucks, all this stuff. And it's like, I could see why that made everyone upset. On top of that, they're trimming Zach's movie. Again, totally understand why that made people upset on set. And apparently there were some moments where I've heard someone was locked in a room. Again, none of this has been confirmed by Ray or anybody. I've just heard it through hearsay of others, but I'm just trying to think, what is the worst stuff that could happen? And that's what I've heard. Someone was locked in a room at some point because they refused to do scenes, and it got very contentious on set because of the creative differences is where it always stemmed from. Joss Whedon was pulled in last minute after Zach went through a tragedy. The studio clearly wanted him and was paying him a lot to come in and fix it because they didn't like what Zach was doing. And so Josh, whatever I'm not even trying to defend Joss. I don't know Joss. I refuse to condemn a man until I have evidence that tells me otherwise. And Ray Fisher telling me that it was all the words he uses isn't enough for me. I need specifics so someone can deny them and have a chance to respond. And when Ray has put out specific allegations, Joss and his lawyers have beaten Ray. They've destroyed Ray because Ray's got no leg to stand on. Oh, well, they were changing the color of the people in the edit. And then they were able to prove it was wrong. And then the article had to pull it because there was no evidence. That's the problem, guys. You can't have vague accusations because someone has to be able to deny them or say, oh, you know what? I didn't know that's what was going on. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that. If you just vaguely cancel people like Ray is doing out of respect to the victims, dude, whoa, can you imagine the world we live in? Imagine if I could say, you know what? There was some terrible stuff went down when I worked with Kevin Smith, and he should never work again. And that's all I said. Imagine that's all I said. And then I kept demanding that Kevin Smith never work again. Like that's not cool. Like no one in the industry should be cool with what Ray's doing. Like he went through an investigation. He did it the way he's supposed to do it. And it's never enough. It's never enough with people like this. And that's why I knew everything we were saying, Jody and I were saying was correct, because it's never enough for somebody like this. He doesn't want judgment. He doesn't want what's right. He wants vengeance. He wants blood. He wants death. He wants it over. He wants these people to never work again. Anybody who stayed in the way and didn't make sure Ray was perfect and Ray's right, all of them deserve condemnation and never to work again. I mean, that's what he said in that Forbes article. So look, guys, there's a reason I talk about this a lot, because I can't stomach that. There's too much of it going on with outrage culture, my own experience and everything else. And if I got to be one voice against a million that are saying, Andy, you're crazy, which they were in the beginning, this is why I do it. Because look, if he had come forward with evidence, I would have had his back. I would have said, that sounds despicable. What's going on, Josh, Jeff, Johns, etc.? How can you endorse this? This doesn't sound cool. But he refuses. And he refuses because it's all hearsay. It's someone else telling him, and he doesn't want to betray that person's confidence. I'm sorry. No, it doesn't work that way. Mobs following blindly, it's disgusting. It is terrifying. That is what's truly dangerous. Him telling us now out of nowhere, going after Walter Hamada, like he's the most dangerous kind of enabling. I mean, he wasn't there. He wasn't there, Ray. He just because he doesn't believe you and just say, oh yeah, you must be telling the truth, Ray. He's the most dangerous kind of enabler. What if he's protecting other people because he's got other information that says, you know what, Ray was very emotional and he was annoying on set? Because the reality in these types of situations is that can happen. And now look, I'm not saying Ray didn't do anything, but until Ray gives me something, there's nothing here. Everyone says, Andy, you're just siding with Joss. No, I'm siding with I'm not condemning Walter or Joss or Jeff until you give me specifics. And Ray refuses to do that. And from the things I've heard, Ray was difficult on set. Ray did have a lot of creative differences. Those are things that I feel like he's just ignoring and trying to say. He never denies those. He's never denied them either. He said, well, no, there's other issues. Sure, okay, but I'm sure there were still creative issues that you don't want to really convey because it's going to make you look like you were a diva, which when I called him a diva is when everyone started turning on me. Dude, this guy's the biggest diva I've ever seen in Hollywood. I mean, the dude gets the investigation and then decides it's not enough. I mean, what planet is this guy on? What is the end game? And it's like everyone's trying to move on. I've reached out to sources. Warner Media is done with him. They don't want to deal with this anymore. They've dude, we did it. We did our actions. We're satisfied. It's time to move on. Thanks so much, Ray. We're so brave of you. Cool. We're moving on. That's what they did. Notice they didn't fire Joss Whedon. They did they let Joss leave on his own terms, and Ray wouldn't accept that either because Ray wants vengeance. But Warner Media decided, you know what, this is dangerous, whatever, for legal reasons, because there's no evidence. You can't just condemn someone because Ray Fisher tells us to. That's absurd. Who the hell are you, Ray Fisher? Like, what are you what planet are you on, dude? This is disgusting what you're doing. It's so pathetic. Anything you had, I don't even care anymore the way you've gone about this. It is desperation at its worst. And for now, you're coming out of nowhere to blame another person who had nothing to do with it. Someone who is probably like, I don't know what to do. I got 2 stories here, Ray. They're telling me this, you're telling me, but I'm going to try my best. Like, look, man, I was told it's great difference. I saw some evidence of it. Look, man, I don't know what to tell you, man. I think that's what a rational person would have told Ray, but it's not enough. No, it was racist. It was racist is what it is. And when clearly Forbes, who interviews Ray, had to adjust it legally because even they knew, and this isn't racist. Like, this is terrifying, guys. This is terrifying what's happening to our culture. And it's imperative that we not just be silent about this, not to sort of, I am condemning Ray to a bit, because it's like Ray has to step up and provide facts at this point, or shut up. It's enough is enough. He is fueling an army of Snyder fans who, let's be honest, they are vicious, and they want to stand up for all the things that, for a serious issue of abuse and stuff. I get it. And so they're like, it's like believing all women, except we got to believe Ray. But the problem is, Ray might not be telling you the truth. And Ray might actually know the truth, because remember, as he said in his own words, he heard this from other people. He's condemning all these people through hearsay. That is not cool. Now, look, Josh is out. Jeff's out. I mean, what? Now Walter Hamada needs to come out, Ray? For what? Like, quietly, Josh is gone. He's moving on, doing his own thing. Like, enough. When's it enough? What else does he need? And for what? It's like, it blows my mind. It blows my mind. I see some comments. Thank you guys for supporting here. Do you see this? Do you think Ray, do you think Ray, as this was his first film, just didn't know any better and didn't have any experience? Look, I've had people reach out to me. I don't know who's real. There's a theory now, because he just got some it feels very like the Women of the Movement project he got, because he's now, stood up as a, calling people out and for the good reasons. And so I had a theory, someone threw me, and I don't disagree with it. He's just doing this he's trying to save his butt now, to try and seem like he's, for the revolution, for the better of the world. And he doesn't see that he's actually being a bully in this. Like, it's never enough for him. And just because you're standing up for someone who complains doesn't mean that person who complained maybe isn't telling you the full truth, or maybe this was emotional, or maybe, Joss Whedon was not okay in that situation, and maybe has already sort of said something, they've taken care of it. Like, Ray isn't the police. Ray can't be the law. Ray can complain, and he has, but at a certain point, the studio's in charge. And if you want to tell us to uproot a whole studio and everyone in charge of a studio, you got to drop us facts, because I'm not going to follow you blindly until you drop the facts and some evidence so we can believe that. And if somebody's not comfortable to do that, then you know what? Maybe they're not comfortable to do the story. And maybe, Ray, you're taking it too far, even on their behalf. Like, at a certain point, a victim has to stand up, and if they want to make it public and condemn a whole studio, they got to put their money where their mouth is. That's always my opinion. Or maybe they just want to move on. Like, at this point, though, Ray is a savior and thinks he's doing God's work, whatever it is he thinks he's doing, that I just think he's in over his head. And I think he also realizes he's absolutely harmed his career. And he's trying not to. He's trying to damage control it by saying, see, I got to work in a limited series for ABC, Women in History. Does anyone know what it was called? Can someone tell me? That was a total PR play from his team to try and show that he's not poison. But dude, you are poison. I've talked to numerous professionals, real people in this industry, who've told me I would never work that guy. Why would I want to risk that guy? He seems like trouble. He doesn't want no one to shut up, and he will complain about everything. And I just don't want to deal. I don't want to have that kind of energy on my set. And it's like the sad part is, like, maybe he is a hero. Maybe something went down. I've said this so many times and nobody hears me. The Ray Fisher fans never hear me. Maybe he is a hero, right? But I can't condemn someone until I know the facts. And none of us should. That's the sad reality of life. People are innocent until proven guilty. And just because someone says they're guilty doesn't mean they are. We have to actually hear their side. And how can someone give a side when you've still not even said anything? That's the thing about investigations. An investigation should properly go to Joss and other people. And what if there are people on the other side who are anonymously telling Warner Media, yeah, Ray was a total pain in the ass. I don't buy that for a second. So now you got competing stories. And what do? It's like, in my situation, what happened to me, that's what happened. There's a reason why I wasn't fired, because I showed my evidence. And they're like, we can't fire this guy. It's clear he didn't do what she said. And then when how they fired me, they waited until social media mob said, oh, he did this, he did this, he did this, he did this. And they put them through the coals that they then were like, okay, we have enough here. Yeah, he flirted with fans. Okay, well, yeah, we'll just condemn him. Good riddance. And that's what they did. They buckled to the peer pressure. And I settled that case because I can't get into it, but it wasn't clear cut. I saw a few more get in here. I want to make sure before I'm going to clip this at a certain point. Just saying hi, big fan. Awesome. Thank you, Jay Watt. I appreciate your support. It means a lot. Keeps the channel going when you guys do. I want to make sure I didn't miss any other super chats. They will obviously always take precedent. I will try and scroll through and get a few more, and I can hang with you for a bit, guys. There was one more I saw. Did I miss the $10 one? Did it already pass? Sorry, Streamlabs is oh, here it is. Thank you. I got it. So tired of this crap. Yay, Fisher. Thank you, Patrick, for the support. Look, I know you guys are too, and I'm sorry I keep hitting this story, but that's the reason I'm passionate about this. It's not about I told you so. It's not about I was right. Look, I would totally talk to Ray Fisher. What doesn't he want to talk to other people and try to talk us into understanding what the deal is? Why can't he hear our criticism? He needs to step back and realize this isn't helpful for victims, for anybody. I don't know what happened. I can't just believe you, Ray. That's not, and you've lied about me and Jody. There is a personal thing here. He lied, blocked, and moved on, and then goes to those circles that helped enable him to lie. Talk about enablers. He puts himself into a cult of group of fans who will support him no matter what. He won't be challenged at all. And then he'll condemn people and sort of throw shade and trigger his army to come at us and call us racist or other terrible things like he did to Jody. And then be like, yep, cool, see ya. How is that being the better person? You ignore the trolls, but you don't. You're for it. So, dude, you made this because you wanted this, Ray. You wanted this attention, and then everyone gets mad because we call him out, but I'm over it. Ray Fisher, World Police, the movie. Love you, Andy. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Jay Watt. Look, that's why I do that. Master Swag, I appreciate you, man. Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's to you as well, everybody. New Year's tomorrow. I appreciate it. But Lewis, I see you in there. So many people in the chat. Look, I'm gonna keep talking, but I wanted to clip this just for YouTube's sake. This will be what the video is if you watch this after the fact. But I'll hang with you guys for a bit, take some questions, maybe call some people in. If you don't watch me, if you're not subscribed, you miss this sort of stuff. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching. If you're watching live, don't go anywhere. I got some more to talk about. I want to talk about the crying Star Wars fan, that Star Wars theory and stuff that happened there. Got some more stuff to talk about, but I want to put an end screen here for later. So bear with me.